Started. Oh, Shalom. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Achar Kodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS who have taught us this word and teach us this word today. I want to give a salutation unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is the brother Yatazakba here with the brothers from the Nebraska camp. And in this lesson, we just want to go into the scripture. We read in Revelation chapter 13. How the horn shall hate the whore. The elder want to get into the topic. He can speak more on it. For what he wanted to get into in specific.
Well, we're just talking about what's going on with the NATO and the EU, which is of the beast. If we can get that precept real quick.
This is Revelations 17 and 16. It says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire."
Khan, and those 7 horns, the 7 heads and 10 horns is speaking about the NATO and EU. Slaki, can you read it again, Baba Kusha?
"And the 10 horns without Salaki," Revelation 17 and 16. "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire."
Right, so those 7 heads and 10 horns speaking about NATO and the EU, and that whore that rideth upon the beast is America, as America is spearheading the operation. Now, in recent news, we're seeing Trump, who is the president of the United States, of course. He is basically making these talks with Putin. He's dealing with Ukraine. And he's basically leaving the European nations out of these talks. He's circumventing them when they're supposed to be a group. But what Trump is doing is that he's just taking the mantle and doing things on his own volition without even talking to the rest of the pack.
Yeah, even in the sense of them putting the sanctions back on Iran, which Russia was one of the ones that voted against it, but America was one that pretty much they voted for it, And it's like, if you're talking all of this peace, then allow room for peace. You can't say you want peace and then try to control everything and everybody. Just the same situation with the TikTok situation. Here it is, you feel like because China has that's their product, we'll just put it like that, that's their product, that you feel like they'll use the people's information and sell the information or do whatever with the citizens' information, based off of security measures. All right, well, you're just speculating. Have they ever did it? You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure there's many apps and many products that Americans have and use that, they got all our address. You know what I'm saying? If that's the case, but here it's just, this is the Heavenly Father, man. He controls the minds of the kings, as it tells you in Proverbs. So these things has to happen. All right, it was only a matter of time before. See, we read the scriptures and we just like, we just looking for that it factor of the nations hating the whore. No, there's going to be a series of events that's going to happen to where the Lord is going to everybody else that's on the outside looking in, they're going to see it happening, but they're not going to foresee it. We already know through the Spirit what's going to happen. It's just now we at the end, and as it says in 2 Ezra 9, the end is manifesting. So you have it to where they're starting to bump heads. The brother sent the video of Netanyahu talking at the UN Council, and people walking out. They're like, we don't want to hear that shit.
Yep.
All right. They've been bombing these people for like 2 years, and they're just now saying, okay, yeah, you are committing, pretty much trying to delete all of those people in that area.
Well, war crimes and all that.
And the thing is, like the brother said, it's gonna be a series of events that leads to a rift between the whore and the heads and the horns. Like with the
just recently they shut off the escalators and the teleprompters when Trump came out there to meet over there. I forget what, I think it was in Europe meeting. And he was talking about how somebody don't get fired behind it, seriously joking and
Right,
stuff
yeah.
like that. So that shows the agitation. And the thing is that we just see Ukraine and him saying, "Oh, I thought this would be easier. I thought this was going to be way faster than what it was. I've ended 6 wars." Like, why are you dealing with that? You know what I'm saying? Because that's, you know, really you're not ending them. You're taking peace from the earth. You know, but the thing is that, you know, that Ukraine war has an effect on Europe. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like certain sides and Europe gets their energy, their grains,
Yep.
and other resources from that area. And that war, you know, however Trump is trying to handle it, is causing a rift for those European nations. It's like the brother was saying, like, he just hopped up and said, "I'm about to go." Zelensky came. He talked to Putin. I think it was like in Canada. He talked to Putin in America. There's Netherlands with Zelensky. You know, I get it wrong, but they met him in 2 different locations. You know, trying to make not a ceasefire, but he was actually trying to cut a deal on his own. You know what I'm saying? And he said he's going to try to do that by like the next day or something like that. And they made a comment saying, "Well, you didn't involve Europe in the 7 powers."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It says they had 7 powers, the 7 heads, you know, of the EU. You know, and they were upset about it that they were left out of the deal, because they was like, "Well, what do we get out of this?" Because they have resources invested into this, because all this war going on is really just for control of resources, you know?
Yeah, and it's like Trump is talking about he's going to put sanctions and tariffs on Russia and China and all these different places. But the type of sanctions and tariffs that he's putting is that whoever does deals with them can't deal with the U.S. And the type of things that he's doing, he's ignoring the fact that his partners in the NATO and EU, like the elder was just saying, they deal with Russia, they deal with China to import and export certain things. So when you're barring China and Russia from being able to do certain things, you're hurting your partners.
Chill out. Move, man. Told you about that shit.
But yeah, you hurting your partners when you talking about you gonna bar Russia and China from being able to do certain stuff and you know, banning them. So, you know, it's like Trump just doing whatever he wants to and ignoring how that hurts, or, you know, ignoring whatever it does to his constituents, you know. But
yeah, I got a precept. It's like, man, we got this duck over here, man. he was cool, but he wanted to be a part of the camp. Now he's trying to get a precept or something. I don't know. But, I want to get this in Revelation 17:16. It says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, which is NATO and the EU, all right, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire," because that's ultimately what's going to happen. And these are one of the trickling effects that's going to cause that hatred to manifest. You know, because Europe is feeling the brunt of taking a lot of losses to these wars, even in Palestine and Israel, man. They're taking a lot of losses, you know, dealing with all this back and forth with Ukraine, Palestine, Israel, you know, the Mesopotamia, all that, man, you know.
And we're even seeing an ideological and cultural divide, you know, with even how the world is reacting to how these Israelis are moving. You see, but you know, how these nations are recognizing Palestine as a state. They're condemning the Israelis' actions, and yet, in the face of all that, Trump is still full supporting these Israelis. Trump is still going against how the rest of the world feels. When everybody's condemning, you know, Netanyahu's actions, everybody's coming against him. Trump is still being a partner to him, you know. It's like,
I got a precept. So the book of Obadiah, verse 7, it says, "All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border.
Mm-hmm.
The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him.
Kind of, you can bring into it.
You know, and just like the brother was saying, you know, with Trump leaving these nations out, you know, which they have a pact together, you know, you're essentially causing, you're going to cause dissension. You're going to cause separation. There's going to be,
Speak up, brother.
you know, these are the men that you made a pact with. You know, so once y'all make a pact together, you know, you have to stay in league with them. You can't not include cannot include the EU in the decisions that you're making, because like the brothers mentioned, it's gonna have a domino effect, all right, on these different nations that are involved with you.
Yeah, because what it's showing, I mean, some of the pacts he break, you know what I'm saying? At like how everybody a couple years back, matter of fact, I think around the first time when he was up in there, and everybody signed the treaty. I forget what the treaty is called, but they signed a treaty to pretty much stop the nukes and all of that. U.S. was the only one to like, nah, we good. We ain't signing that. You know, it's like, what do you? But you talk about all of this peace, man. Right. You know, so it like the brother was saying, it's getting to the point. It's going to get to a point where they're going to force their own allies to depend on their enemies, man. Mm-hmm. Okay, he that is my how that saying go?
He that is my the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, in the sense like that, because you're gonna make yourself an enemy, okay? And it's all written in prophecy. It's supposed to happen. Like I always go back to everybody. I remember when the Ukraine and Russia war first happened. Everybody was riding Ukraine dick, man. That's just me being blunt about it, because this I'm talking about people who I know personally who ain't even into politics or none of that, man. Yeah, it's I'm like, well, why is all of that happening? Russia told them, y'all do your NATO thing, do your EU thing, but do not try to add Ukraine to y'all shit, because we don't want y'all in our backyard for the most part. But what do? They do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. All right, and that's what they did. They went in there, and it's like, all right, well, shoot, let's get it going then. Okay, but these things has to happen. You know, through the spirit, we just unveiling them. Through the spirit, that's why we got to be on the watch when all of this news and stuff is coming out, and them meeting with this person and that person, because we in the end times, man. All right, and it's going to get to the point, like the brother has brought out the Revelations again, that fire is what's going to be last. It's not just by accident. In Jeremiah 50, it says, all thee that bend the bow shoot upon Babylon. It's not like they're gonna, well, since they doing it, they're gonna be like, shoot, they all, man,
this dude a problem.
I'm on this side. They don't already have their side chosen. You know what I'm saying? Because the bully always get bullied by everybody they bully, pretty much. You know?
And there's gonna have to be a side pick. You know, what's going on right now? You have this aid boat that's on the way over to help those in need in Gaza, but you got Netanyahu sending drones at this boat to stop them. Now what happened is that Italy basically came out and said, we're going to send ships to defend this boat to get to Gaza so that these supplies can get over there. Now the thing is, now that this ship for defense is being sent, that Netanyahu sending drones at, that means that you have a member of NATO and EU that is basically setting himself against the Israelis. So Trump is going to have to pick a side. Who is he going to be in support of? Is he going to be in support of his NATO and EU allies that's blatantly making moves to set themselves against Netanyahu and the things that he want to accomplish? Or is he going to support Netanyahu and what he wants to accomplish? There's being a clear divide.
That goes against the nations. That's what's stemming to the nation shall hate the Lord, because they have resource invested in these countries. You know, just like the deal that Putin and Zelensky were trying, not Putin, but Vladimir Putin and Zelensky were trying to make. Putin was trying to get certain territories. If someone could look that up, but Putin is trying to get certain territories that have a lot of resources that these nations can take advantage of. So it's really a territory grab for resources, you know, and they're trying to create a peace treaty, and Trump was saying that, you know, he was going to try to keep the peace by bringing UN, but he didn't say he didn't want those in there. But I believe the French and someone else said that they'll lend their troops. But the thing is, the French are part of NATO and the EU.
Mm-hmm.
He don't want NATO and the EU up in there, but for the French to say, hey man, well, how about we just come over there? That shows you that they have things invested. They like low-key don't want America in there. You know what I'm saying? It's really, you know, causing a divide. And the scriptures say a house divided against itself shall not stand.
Okay.
You know? And I wanted to get this precept real quick. 2nd Ezra 16:7. It says, may one turn again. Because remember in Revelation 17 it says, and it shall be burned. You know, so we go into 2nd Ezra 16:7. It says, may one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer. The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? And that arrow is talking about those thermonuclear missiles. All right, because once these nations start feeling the impacts of their inflations, their scarcity of foods, you know, their product shortages, they're gonna buck up, man. They're already going through it with the euro. You know, they ain't even, you know, nobody talks about it anymore, but the euro is going to shit for a while, man. You know, so it says, a fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? The earth quaketh, and the foundations thereof. The sea ariseth up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord and before the glory of his power. Because these thermonuclear missiles is going to shake up the whole entire earth, man. It's going to destroy everything. It's not going to destroy the world, all right, because the earth abideth forever, but it will disturb a lot of the consistencies of it, you know, until we come back and, you know, through the spiritual power, refurbish the land. You know what I'm saying? And going verse 13 says, for strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow, because the Lord is behind all this ultimately through his right and his left hand. Going back to what I was saying, man. It says, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again, and they shall come up upon the earth. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it is consumed the foundation of the earth. Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backwards, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. You know what I'm saying? Woe is me, who shall deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, right? The beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do in these evils when these evils shall come?
I was gonna say also, like, because what it is it's so much going on. Like I said, this is the beginning of sorrows. This ain't really what everything things. The stage is being set, but this ain't everything hitting. There's things going on in America. People protesting in America. People protesting in Nepal. People, you got Americans down in Venezuela. You got the wars and rumors of wars. All right, and it's like, with Ezra seeing what all going on, he's seeing the fire, he's seeing the missiles, he's seeing the state of the earth that soon that it's about to be in, and he just like, yo, it's gonna get bad, it's gonna be bad, and like once again, like this is just the Lord setting that stage, man. He gotta create the tension. Yeah. I remember going back, we like, man, he gonna put hooks in there, man. It's gonna be, you know, we were speculating, but now we just. Hey, he brought in the cruel Lord, man. Yeah. All right? Trump, you know, he got to be that cruel Lord. He just doing whatever he want to do. Hey, like
well, he got to forward the agenda of the elite. And it's almost like NATO and the EU is not in its entirety, but the countries are dragging their feet because they got certain things invested in these other countries. You know what I'm saying? They got things invested in the Middle East, like Iraq and Iran. They got things invested in Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? They got things invested in Russia because they're not just eating. They ain't just eating off America. They're eating off these other countries, man. You know, they're eating off the like the brothers referencing with Israel and all that, and they got the fighter jets and who gonna do this and do that because they got resources invested in these countries, oil deals that they're striking with these countries, and by America it's constantly making beef with certain countries, furthering the ultimate agenda, which is the so-called Great Reset, the New World Order, which is ultimately the MOTB, and trying to put everything under their thumb. It's messing up their current condition, and they're trying to make sure that their countries maintain while everything is being pushed. Because they had one of these Latin country leaders that was speaking. It was years ago. He was like speaking out against America, saying how evil did we supposed. He's saying we're supposed to be the beacon of light, but y'all starting shit with everybody, man.
Yeah, come on.
Like it's crazy because he was condemning them, but in the same time saying what they were doing, not what they were doing actively, but like what they represent was justified. You know what I'm saying? Like we're the ones supposed to be the leaders of the world doing this, doing that, but we're the worst of everybody because y'all keep fucking with people and taking their resources.
Who said that, bro?
I forget the guy.
Okay.
It was a Spanish cat. I don't got that type of, but he was one of the world powers. He was at a UN summit,
Now I got that. You said you wanted the territories that Russia is trying to get from the war, right?
Yeah.
So first it says Crimea, which is annexed by Russia in 2014 following a disputed referendum.
Yeah, that's which really what started it all. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody's really talking about Crimea. They trying to act like, it's a stalemate and all that. Russia ain't never been trying to like kill them. All right? They're not trying to go through there and kill them. That's why it's not because Ukraine is kicking ass and taking names. In America, Babylon is giving them a hell of drones to fight against Russia, but Russia is not, like Russia could send long-range missiles over there. Why are they not doing it? Because they don't want to wipe that land out. They're not trying to fuck the people up. But Esau, through his propaganda, is talking about, he killed one kid. Well, those so-called JEOOs off in that land bombed the whole hospital. And they're saying, well, that's their war. We got, trying to turn a blind eye and omit what's actually going on, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's the propaganda and the two-facedness of these people thinking nobody sees all that, and try to distract us with, certain shootings and mass weaponry and try to blame everything on niggas, all this back and forth rhetoric and propaganda through Esau's sorcery, but it's not working. Like the Lord says, stand down with thine enchantments, man, because it's too much truth, and then he's trying to cover a pace. He's trying to, just like with this recent situation with Captain Kirk, man, there's so many stories out. And the spirit was like, bro, they just trying to layer hella lies so you don't know which one is the truth. Is it CGI? Does it come through the mic? There was a sniper? Was it a guy behind him?
Exactly.
Was it a AI, hologram? Was it real? Was it the guy on the roof? Was it the white guy? Was it another guy? Is the guy transgender? Is his parents right-wingers, extreme left-wingers? You don't know what the hell is going on.
You just get burnt out. You be like, fuck it.
Yeah, man. They're trying to burn you out with lies, man, because that's their tactic now, because it's too much truth. So they say, well, we're gonna just pump hella lies out there through this misinformation, man.
That it kind of remind me of the one of the Fast and Furious movies when the cops was trying to get them, and they went and parked their cars in a garage. Now in this garage, 2 cars went in that garage, but in the garage it had probably 75 to 100 cars all came out, and it's like you can't find them through the scramble.
Or your boy off of Transformers, the last one that came out with the Beast Wars, and he had to do Mirage, and he turned himself into 4-7 different cars and split off.
Yep.
That's Esau. The smoke and mirrors. That's a form of his sorcery, plus his media. Okay, because that's what all that goes back to, sorcery. That word media, man. You know what I'm saying? Median. The brothers was going into it. The elders went into it. you know, just going into the power of that sorcery, man, which is that internet, the TV, okay? They're podcasters, okay? Certain people speaking a certain way. The right wing, they got people that's paid on both sides to speak a certain way, man. You know?
I got that precept you mentioned. This is Isaiah 47 and verse 12. It says, "Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail."
Yeah, which they will not. All right, they won't prevail because ultimately the Lord's going to tear it down. We read how the Lord's going to, those strong as a mighty archers, those arrows shall not be sent back. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the Lord's going to, you know, send terror upon this place, man. He's going to send thermonuclear missiles, man. You know what I'm saying? Because this place is degenerate.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Kind
They got this new thing coming out. When you really get into it as well, is that they're Satan pass, but they got this new thing where a lot of people are starting to get into the Nazi Germany party and saying, oh, those books weren't Bibles and all that. They're starting to realize that it was so-called transgender alphabet community books that were being burned. Like the same thing we're going through now is what Adolf Hitler was trying to get rid of. Mm-hmm. So that's propaganda in itself. That's always been truth. That's always been a reality being pushed. But now you're getting people like Myron from Fresh and Fit and you know, Candace Owens. Now they're speaking out and saying these things. You know, when these people, you can get your account banned and all kind of things. Which these guys are it's not like they sign up, but they get memos, they get emails, you know, they get, you know, bonuses, you know what I'm saying, for speaking out on things that they either already knew or get informed about, man. And they'll cut a platform and then say, well, I'm gonna let you have this platform over here, but these are your talking points, you know. And for them to keep that money up, because Esau allowed them to make a certain amount of money, they're gonna do as told. You making $2 million a month off of your podcast, and then Esau shut it down. You panicking, and then you find a little lane, and through that lane, you just start getting your views back up, and you start, oh, I'm okay. But right before you get there, they send you an email, hey, if you want to get back to where you was, these need to be your talking points. We don't need you saying this anymore, or no more of this and that. To hell with them women, man. Let's talk about the niggas. Start talking about black people more. You know, start talking about other politics and things like that, man. You know?
Cool. Yeah, it's like it's back in this list with Russia going after. It says Crimea remains a cornerstone of Putin's demands. It says it provides strategic access to the Black Sea and hosts Russia's Black Sea fleet in Sevastopol. And Putin has repeatedly insisted on international recognition of Russian sovereignty here, viewing it as historically Russian territory, you know, because that was once a part of the Soviet Union, you know, that territory in Crimea, which, you know, goes into the scripture where it says that the Lord will put hooks into God's jaws, and bringing them back to that Soviet Union mindset. That's why Putin is not going out without getting that land back, you know. And it has some more. It says Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast, collectively known as Donbas. It says these regions, partially controlled by Russian-backed separatists since 2014, were fully annexed by Russia in September 2022, and it holds key cities. It says economic motives include lithium deposits and industrial resources in the Donbas. So, you know, like the elder was saying, these different places that Russia is trying to get holds, you know, economic value. It holds, you know, strategic value.
Yeah, which the lithium deposits go back to your cell phones, your Tesla cars, and things like that. You know, you control lithium deposits. You control a good chunk of how they make those batteries, man. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and it's grain as well. You know what I'm saying? And other resources. You know,
right here.
Because I had a little bit.
Oh, okay, come on.
So when it says that, as far as the economic value, it says mineral wealth. The Donbass has immense reserves of coal, natural gas, and critical minerals like lithium and titanium. Acquiring this region allows Russia to control trillions of dollars in resources that are vital for advanced industries and energy markets. So you already know America definitely can't have that. They can't have anybody having an upper hand on them, you know? So they don't just pick and choose lands. I mean, it is strategic.
It's not a moral war.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
This control, man.
Yep.
This control of resources and land grabs, just like they did the natives, man. When they was pushing the natives out, it was all about resources that was on that land. All right, that's why they killed all the buffalo, to try to get Gad to relocate, so that way they couldn't, eat off that land and force them into reservations and things like that, so they can, take the gold or the beaver pelts, you know what I'm saying, and other things like that, man. It's all about resources and the fatness of the earth, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Esau, this is how Esau go about the world with the sword, controlling the fatness of the earth.
Yeah. That's why the scriptures speak about not removing your neighbor's landmark. The Lord gave everybody their land for the reason why he gave it to them. But Esau, he neither keepeth at home. So he constantly goes wherever there's resources. He's like a big metal detector, a resource detector. If he see you got anything anywhere, he's gonna find a way to come and get it. Because as the scriptures say, wouldn't the grape gatherers leave any? But Esau, as a grape gatherer, he's gonna take every grape. Hell, he'll take the vine.
Mm-hmm.
Find a way to use that shit.
And to save face, he's not just gonna go up in there and just take it how he really want to. He's gonna push all type of propaganda and say it's this reason and that reason why we have to go do this, because we have to save these people and because they got this.
Well, it's capitalism. You can't just go in there and do it, because you need the public. Because if you get the mass amount of public to say stop it, then you got to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you give everybody the MOTB, then you can just do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But like I said, it's like a factory. You can't just get up and say, I don't like you, you're fired. That's gonna make everybody else say, hey, you can't do that.
Yep.
That's wrong. And then if everybody get up and start speaking up, then you got anarchy or mutiny.
Mm-hmm.
Because people, through democracy, the so-called people have a so-called voice. You know what I'm saying? So that, and that's why they're attacking free speech, attacking gun law, because they're ultimately trying to bring in draconian laws and martial laws to suspend all that,
mm-hmm.
On us and the whole world. That's why all these mass shootings and assassinations and events are happening. They're, attack on free speech now. There's always been an attack on, they call it medical misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got hate speech. With the Captain Kirk, they're questioning if, should they go on social media and track every person that said something negative about them, things of that nature, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And this guy ain't no different. He's just, another CIA type of op, no different from a Martin Luther King. He ain't no Martin Luther King, but they're using him in the same type. Then you get a speech going on. It's an Aryan Nation coded speech, and like the knights in the cave, coming out the cave, speaking about mocking Yahweh Shai and trying to bring in national Christian nationalism, and is really hitting white Aryan racist rhetoric. Like, this place is going to shit, man.
Yeah.
And people are tired. They're drunk enough to wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. So let's get that precept a little close on out.
And this is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 7, which says, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad.
Yeah, man, the wine of the propaganda, because they supported it, because it says that they conspired with one consent, from Amalek to Edom, to the Hagarenes, to the Arabs, on down to these other nations. You know, but now that they're getting slandered, they're getting stolen from, they're getting taken advantage of, and the grass is not greener on this side. They're starting to get the shit end of the stick, okay? They didn't got invited into the club, but didn't realize it was a glass roof. You know, you got invited into the club to serve Edom. And you're like, wait, man, I thought I was going to be up in here and I could work my way to being like one of y'all. And it's not like that, man. You know, and also, at the end of the day, it's going to be Amalek that's going to be running things, that's trying to run things. I'm going to say going to be running things, if they're trying to run things, because the Lord's going to smite them while they're eating, you know, and destroy their thoughts of establishing this MOTB. And that's why the prophets are here to prophesy against it, man. But it's crazy enough that all this is going on. You got people bugging out, talking about the wrath. They're trying to go back to the Most High, but they going everywhere but the prophets, man.
Yeah.
You know? But eventually they're going to come to the prophets, but the prophets aren't going to be there. Okay? Because y'all love the world. And the world love its own. So, you know, you ain't going to be able to gather up your oil last minute. You know, you're not going to be able to find a way and hold on diligent. It's going to require a lot in these last days, man. You know, mother with the 7 sons, man. You know, Eleazar. You're going to have a certain mentality and a certain build about you. And it's going to only come through trial and error. You know, through walking in this faith while we had liberty.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And chosen Lord, there's a lot of learning here. You know, so yeah, man. At the end of the day, Esau is ultimately going to go down, and we're looking at the beginning of the downfall and the separation of the NATO and the EU. They're not apart. They're going to fight amongst each other, but they're going to try to still. It's like they're going to still fight amongst each other, but they're going to still try to forward their agenda, and then they're going to eventually just one of them going to steal on one of them. And then they're going to end up fighting, and it's like. Everybody gonna be looking, ducking, curling up, and they're gonna be like, wait, y'all fighting? Hold the fuck up. Everybody gonna start trying to get their licks in. You know? So with that being said, we're gonna give all praises
unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Machak Wadash.
I want to say double honor to our apostles who are elders who do well, which are GMS. Blessed salutation, brothers out there teaching and doing truth sincerely. Shalom.
Shalom.